Without further ado, could we invite to join us on the stage to continuing this session, or beginning a fresh section called Voices from Australia and the World. Two of our keynote contributors, the Most Reverend Dr. Freier, the Anglican Archbishop of Melbourne, and His Excellency Mr. Chen, the Ambassador of the Embassy of China. Please come and join us on the stage. I'm conscious that Archbishop Freier and Ambassador Chen both have very limited time schedules this morning, so we're going to ask them to each make a short 5-minute contribution before they need to move, and then we will go to the balance of the session. Archbishop Freier, your view on Australia in the Asian century.
Thank you. Australia in the Asian century, an important theme and place to recognise in our focus for this summit. Who we are as Australians may look different on the timeline markers of history, but what we stand for and what we value ought to be upheld in any renewed vision for Australia at any time. From the perspective of 40,000 years of Aboriginal heritage, a century seems such a short time. The 2,000 years from the birth of Christ have seen 20 centuries where the centre of gravity and world population, technological development and cultures repeatedly changed. So why should our century, only 1 decade old, be any different? Australia enjoys a level of peace, stability, prosperity and equity that's the envy of many countries in the world, and I believe is related to the Judeo-Christian faith tradition that's played a significant part in shaping our governance, laws, institution and general ethos as a nation. It's a faith tradition that values the human person in themselves and as a member of a human community. And this tradition has given us principles for living together in society that are based on respect for each person having intrinsic value and potential regardless of wealth or status. And flowing from that's a responsibility to ensure that others, particularly those who lack the ability or means, are able to share in the general wealth and opportunity of the community. And these principles have been responsible for the creation of a fair and decent society that many Australians enjoy and, of course, take for granted. But not all. Disadvantage exists, even remains entrenched for Indigenous Australians, intergenerational unemployed, those with mental illness, for carers, and other vulnerable members of our community. I recently wrote in the media encouraging discussion about a new social contract for Australia. My point remains that a decent society is one where opportunity is open to all and where the circumstances of birth do not predetermine any person for a life of disadvantage. A society which focuses on the common good needs to discuss how the wealth of any nation can be used to increase opportunity, participation and social cohesion. And to do this in a way that is environmentally sustainable into the hundreds, not just tens of years. Many cities across the world have had an experience of the Occupy movement, a movement that, if nothing else, has invited reflection on the gap between the rising wealth of some and the awareness that many others are too often left behind. And this is what can happen when wealth creation and power become separated from moral and social responsibility. Now, these matters are complex. You'll spend a lot of time examining aspects of them, but a focus on a new social contract for the benefit of all Australians, individually and corporately, is a fruitful goal. Now, I don't neglect the place of Asia. Who we are in relation to our Asia-Pacific neighbours ought also to be guided by the same values of respect, fairness, equity and access. Even though many in the Western world have come to expect the decline of Christianity, it's relevant to note that in many parts of Asia, the Christian church is growing, sometimes from a small base, but still making its contribution to the discussions about the future shape of the societies and Asian nations of which it's a part. As much as many Australians might be surprised to learn this, Christianity may yet provide a basis for shared discourse about the kind of societies we're wanting to become in Australia and in the Asia and the Pacific area. The great commandments of Jesus call people to love God and to the love of neighbour. We're urged to feed the hungry, welcome the stranger, visit the sick and the imprisoned. Applied to the context of our discussion today, love of neighbour means the the contribution Australia makes as a food producer, a centre for education and research, and a partner in international development. They need to be a high place in our national agenda. Our environmental sustainability policies, as much as our own refugee policy, are amenable to this perspective of reflection. I admire our political leaders who are prepared to take on the critical role of developing a big picture for the longer future of our nation, despite the glare of the spotlight and the demands of the ever-present 24-hour news cycle. It's not an easy role, and we're quick to judge and condemn. But let us join our efforts together to lead Australia forward with a renewed vision of who we are as a nation and in what we may contribute internationally as we work towards the common good.
We're going to invite Ambassador Chen Yuming, the Ambassador of China to Australia, and I think the lectern is coming to the stage for you, Ambassador. It's okay there? We don't need the lectern. I'm sorry. We don't need the lectern. Thank you very much, Ambassador Chen.
Ambassador.
This one.
Take that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dear Chairman, dear Secretary General, dear friends, I apologize for my poor English, but I think it's unfair to speak on Mandarin, so I will be very quick. Recently, there has been much attention in the world on slower growth rates on Chinese economy, and fear that a hard landing in China will bring severe impact. My view is, first, China economy will maintain strong growth. China's first quarter GDP growth moderated to 8.1%, but China is still the front runner in the global economic recovery. The latest IMF report sees no hard landing in China and estimates 8.2% growth for 2012 and 8.8% next year. Second, China's economic slowdown is the result of proactive and macroeconomic control. In China's 12th five-year plan, the annual GDP growth speed was set at 7%. By lowering this year's growth target to 7.5%, we want to better adjust economic structure and give priority to quality instead of speed of development. Third, China's economy was structural drivers for long-term and stable growth. Ongoing urbanization and industrialization release huge demand for investment. Hundreds of millions of rising middle class in China create enormous consumption. And the upgrading of industrial chain raises productivity in China. China's proactive and moderate slowdown is aimed at realizing balanced growth, which brings new opportunities for mutually beneficial cooperation between China and Australia. First, areas of cooperation are broadened. China recently signed with Australia the currency swap agreement worth $30 billion and the MOU on enhancing infrastructure cooperation. Cotan joins hands with the Shanghai General Motors and the Pan-Asia Technical Automotive Center, opening a new chapter in the cooperation between the automotive industries of our two countries. Second, new form of cooperation emerge. Monash University has established with China's Southeast University an international graduate school in Suzhou. China's GCL projects and Australia's Link Energy have teamed up to build plants that will turn gas extracted deep underground from coal into diesel. There are good attempts to explore new ways of educational cooperation and Australia's new technology being commercialized in Chinese market. Third, there are greater potential for cooperation. China is Australia's largest source of international tourists by value. Tourism Australia expects 30 direct flights route between China and Australia by 2020. Energy and mineral products continue to be shipped to China, and higher living standard of Chinese people is offering enormous market space for Australia's quality agricultural produce and higher education. Over 40 years, trade volume between China and Australia has increased by 1,000 times. Our people-to-people cultural, educational, and scientific exchanges have also growing fast. But we cannot stop at that. Our relations need a balanced and solid foundation, which is a long-term and strategic vision, political, economic, and security mutual trust, and the respect for each other's core concerns. We aim for comprehensive and cooperative relationship built on long-term and stable basis. China's development is like a stable and safe high-speed train, which we have no reason to miss. We hope you and your friends will make efforts and appeal for the comprehensive and stable cooperation between China and Australia for the common prosperity of our two countries. Thank you very much.
Isn't it fascinating to have two different but interlocking positions put forward by the Archbishop and the Ambassador? Would you please join me in thanking Archbishop Philip Freier and Ambassador His Excellency Chen for their contributions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.